It appears that Texas is having some, well, little bit of buyer's remorse on some of their new voting laws, which is another case of be careful what you wish for. Now, these Texas Republicans had passed in the wake of 2020 some new rules which are tripping up Republican voters. According to a Newsy report ahead of the primary runoff elections on Tuesday, several new rules passed in the wake of the elections in the Republican-dominated state have put some stringent requirements on mail-in ballots, which are confusing a lot of Republican voters. One such rule mandates that voters must either put their driver's license number or the last 4 digits of their social security number on the envelope containing their ballot, which has led to an incredibly high number of rejected ballots for people that have forgotten to do so. In fact, ballot rejections in 2020 ran about 0.8%, but in 2022, they have skyrocketed to about 12%. Now, I know 12% versus 0.8%, but that's a huge, huge spike. And it's about equivalent to about 7,000 voters in one Texas county. Now, I know Texas is big, but 7,000 voters might actually make a huge difference in an election. And of course, the most errors done by Republican voters. Oops. Uh-oh. Not good. In March, during the initial primary elections, the 16 of the state's largest counties had more than 18,000 mail-in ballots that were rejected because they had missed the fine print. One elderly Republican voter noted the question about the driver's license, the social security number, was printed so small, that she couldn't read it. Well, of course. Newsy said they calculated that was 7-point font. National election standards that benefit visually impaired people require nothing can be smaller than 10-point. But hey, Republicans, they got to squeeze in as much as possible and oops, accidentally disenfranchise themselves. Look, and we saw that, by the way. These are not, I mean, yes, these are newish rules. I think they took effect in December. We already had a primary race back in March. And they still had a chance to fix it, but they didn't. 2 months later, after Texas had voted with the new ballot measures on March 1st, when the state passed the law in December, they had very little time to print the ballots and get them out to voters. But again, 2 months later, for the runoffs, they had the time, but did they do so? No. They decided not to. They just couldn't do it fast enough. I mean, I'm not really surprised. This is the same state that privatized their energy grid and have had problems ever since with actually keeping the lights on. By the way, that same state is also a place where a large amount of their power grid is dedicated to crypto mining. Just saying. And by the way, all of these measures are really for no purpose other than to stroke the ego of a former president who lost his election. Texas, y'all didn't need these new rules because there wasn't actually voter fraud. There wasn't massive voter fraud. Every single study on this, every single recount, every single court case. No voter fraud. No mass voter fraud. And again, I say no mass voter fraud because we did find out that there is voter fraud. And a lot of what these individual cases, which again, are pretty statistically negligible when it comes to actually being able to swing elections, came from Republicans. All they were doing is finding a solution in search of a problem. And in doing so, created more problems. Nailed it. Well done.